do you blame Elway for mishandling the quarterback situation?
No, because I think a lot of people like Paxton Lynch. Jerry Jones liked Paxton Lynch. I think it's hard to find a quarterback in this league. It's Miami post Marino, Denver post Elway, Bears post Sid Luckman. I mean, it's like there's organizations that can't find one forever. Pete Carroll had a losing record in Seattle. Oh, he stumbled on Russell Wilson in the third round. Pete's a genius.
Not everybody was sitting on the no-fly zone defense, though, and a team that's ready to win right now. And I love John Elway. But I watched that Monday night, and I was like, wow, this is horrendous.
He sniffed out Tebow immediately. He found Trevor Siemian, a capable kid, for a few games in the 7th round. By the way, Brock Osweiler made $70 million in Houston. John wasn't the only guy. Like, it's hard to find quarterbacks.
They're trying to win now.
Hey, listen, if you draft him, then you're responsible for him. And I love John. Played with him, played against him. Think he's a fantastic GM. But he drafted Brock Osweiler in the 2nd round, Trevor Siemian in the 7th, and Paxton Lynch in the 1st. And neither one of these quarterbacks have a rating above 90, okay? So you can't just throw off blame here. If he drafted him and he went after him, then it has to fall to him. Now, I don't know what the problem is as far as developing these guys. A lot of times that comes down to coaching staff, quarterback coach, offensive coordinators and things of that nature. But you can't absolve him here because he pulled the trigger on these guys.
He also hired the coach who you don't like.
Here to me is the bigger issue is you can look at the quarterbacks. You got to put people around to support quarterbacks, especially if you're drafting them in the 7th round. They have had an offensive line that couldn't block their way out of a wet paper sack for the last 5 years. They don't have a tight end that can get open. They don't have, they have a myriad of different issues. And then all of a sudden you're going to put a quarterback in there that's a young quarterback that has his issues, and you say, hey, we're not going to protect you. We're not going to give you a weapon at the tight end position to control the middle of the field, and good luck, we're all counting on you. Go out there and win a game. My biggest issue with Monday night is Monday night was a winnable game. Monday night you should have won. Monday night you had 3 running backs that averaged, Jamal Charles averaged 5 yards a carry. C.J. Anderson averaged 5.5 yards a carry. Booker averaged 6 yards a carry. You win that game if you don't turn the ball over. Your defense absolutely obliterated Kansas City in the 3rd quarter. I believe they had 12 yards of offense in the 3rd quarter. You put it on them, and you didn't have, or you haven't appointed your coach. You've appointed your coach, but you haven't empowered your coach to make a decision. I mean, Trevor Siemian, he was throwing picks like it was his job. He was dirting balls like it was his job, and you haven't been given the authority to pull him at some point and say, we're gonna try to ignite our offense, just not turn it over. We win this game. And what, you have to call up to the owner's box or the GM's box and go, hey, can we make the move now? At some point, you gotta sack up and make a move.
I thought they looked poorly coached, and I thought the coach looked like he lacked confidence for the reasons you're talking about. He hasn't been empowered. And again, you got a no-fly zone defense that's already proven it can win you a Super Bowl. And you can't get the quarterback situation right, and you turn the team over to a rookie head coach.
Now I think that is a valid issue. When they named that coach in an increasingly offensive league, when they already had good defensive personnel, my first thought was, that's an odd hire. Like, Denver, to me, has always been the Steelers with a mountain range. Like, they just win every year. And I did, the quarterback thing is hard. I did think the naming of the coach, my first reaction was, damn. You have your defense. You need a young, offensive-minded coach to figure Paxton Lynch out, because now Paxton has a defensive.
The closing of this window is painful.
Yes.
Because this defense is really.
Cowherd was a mistake for the Panthers to trade away Benjamin.
No, he and Funchess are very similar. There's a duplication between their skill sets. They didn't win more with him, and they want Cam to pay attention to McCaffrey and Samuels, these new, young, fast, quick players. And they also, I think they kind of believed that Cam was good friends with him, and they wanted Cam to move off him as a primary target to other people, and the only way to do that is get him out of the locker room. I actually like the move. I mean, if you're asking me what they did from a football perspective, I like it. I do think you have to be careful about how it lands for Cam. Cam is shown to be a very emotional player, more than a Russell Wilson or a Brady. So I'm worried about how it lands. Here you have Atlanta this week, big division game. Cam isn't told about it. His best friend's out. Cam could struggle with this for a week or two. That's what I worry about. But I think the move long term was a good football move.
I think the move is good long term based on, I believe Miami and Carolina are just two franchises, and we're going to see it, I think, around the league that are like, we got to be more Belichick-like. We got to be more Patriots-like. We got to have the right people in our locker room, and we can't make this about catering to Cam Newton or anybody. Cam and Kelvin Benjamin are best friends. From what I understand, two of the most immature guys on that team. Break them up. And if Cam's feelings are hurt about it, so what?
Yeah.
And so there needs to be more, I think, from an ownership perspective. This is ownership and leadership perspective in the NFL. It's like we've been catering to the players a little bit too much. And so I think you're seeing with Jerry Richardson and the Carolina Panthers. I think you see it with the Miami Dolphins. They're starting to play a little bit of hardball.
You know what, Jason? Sometimes you talk like the owners make the league. The league has nothing without its players. I'm just going to throw that over there, and we can talk about that another time.
We'll talk about it off camera.
But Kelvin Benjamin has been an underachiever for this football team since his rookie year. His rookie year, he had 73 receptions, 108 yards, and 9 touchdowns. He came back in 2005, tore his ACL in training camp, and he's been a mess since then. He is plain and simply not a good football player. And you know what? You're right. They do draft similar players. Every time you turn around, it looks like they're getting another player that looks like one that they already have on their team. And anytime your tight end is your number one receiver for the last 5 years,
You're in trouble.
Something's wrong. You're drafting wrong, you're developing wrong, you're doing something wrong. This is a good move because when you look at the draft, there was 4 other wide receivers that went before him. Watkins, Evans.
After or before?
Before him.
Okay.
Watkins, Evans, Odell Beckham, and Brandon Cooks. All of those guys are having somewhat of a halfway decent career. He's just floundering because his hallmark is his rookie season and what he did his rookie season.